Straight. Civil Rights, King, Van Oker, roll 20, sound 36.
What I'd like to do now is bring in Chaplain Steve Mills to share a few thoughts about Martin Luther King Day, our commemorations, and our day of service. So welcome back, chaps. It's nice to see you.
Thanks, Carl. It's good to be back.
And, you know, as we get ready to celebrate the Martin Luther King Day of service, you know, what are some ways that we can honor his legacy?
There are three evils in our nation. It's not only racism, but economic exploitation of poverty would be one, and then militarism. And I think in a sense, and in a very real sense, these three are tied inextricably together, and we aren't going to get rid of one without getting rid of the other.
As I have walked among the desperate, rejected, and angry young men, I have tried to offer them my deepest compassion while maintaining my conviction that social change comes most meaningfully through nonviolent action. But they ask, and rightly so, what about Vietnam? They ask if our home nation wasn't using massive doses of violence to solve its problem, to bring about the changes it wanted. Their questions hit home, and I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghetto without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government.
But Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a day of service. It's a day to celebrate his legacy, honor what he did.
When a nation becomes obsessed with the guns of war, it loses its social perspective, and programs of social uplift suffer. This is just a fact of history. We do face many more difficulties as a result of the war. It's much more difficult to really arouse a conscience during a time of war. I noticed the other day, some weeks ago, a Negro was shot down in Chicago, and it was a clear case of police brutality. That was on page 30 of the paper, but on page 1 at the top was 780 Viet Cong killed. That is something about a war like this that makes people insensitive. It dulls the conscience. It strengthens the forces of reaction, and it brings into being bitterness and hatred and violence, and it strengthened the military-industrial complex of our country. When scientific power outruns moral power, we end up with guided missiles and misguided men. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense and on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. The time has come for America to face the inevitable choice between materialism and humanism. We must devote at least as much to our children's education and the health of the poor as we do to the care of our automobiles and the building of beautiful, impressive hotels.
I speak for those whose land is being laid waste, whose homes are being destroyed, whose culture is being subverted. Our only hope today lies in our ability to recapture the revolutionary spirit and go out into a sometimes hostile world, declaring eternal hostility to poverty, racism, and militarism. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now in this unfolding conundrum of life and history. There is such a thing as being too late. We still have a choice today, nonviolent coexistence, a violent co-annihilation. We will but make the right choice. We will be able to speed up the day all over America and all over the world when justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.